Hello world, today is November 17th, 2024, and we have another dev Q&A from SDF over at Iron Mace. Huge shout out to So Bad Strange over on Twitch for transcribing the entire transcript here. If you'd like to go ahead and read it yourself, I'll have that linked. Question, do you guys have anything planned to reduce the effectiveness and prevalence of bows in the current meta? Sure, I'm still testing to tweak the items in general, like in 69, and taking my time to avoid the mistake I made in 69 and deciding to release it too soon. We'll also be tweaking the balance of the current season a bit more before Arena Ranked launches. We recognize that Rangers, Barbarians, and Clerics are a bit overpowered in healing. Question, when will new perks, spells, and abilities be added to the game and old unused ones be reworked? I'll start once I'm more organized about item balance. Question, are there any plans for the training system already? Example, skill trees, subclassing. I want to really focus on it, but I can't focus on many things at once, so I want to fix the most problematic spots first and then focus on those things. Question, what is planned as far as new content and what is on the books for bows and crossbows at the moment? Basically, our big goal for new content is to add more endgame goals. We're also interested in making the existing game loop healthier in a number of ways. We're interested in adding a variety of endgame goals. For example, Arena was designed as an endgame goal for PvP players, and we'll be launching Arena ranking this season. That's not to say that the end of PvP endgame goals. We have a lot of ideas, and once Arena is established, we'll think about what's next. Also, for players like completionists, we're going to add an achievement system next season that you can collect and achieve things beyond the season. And we're looking to add 2 big systems to improve the existing game loop. This is specifically tied to addressing the shortcomings of the 3-layer system. We are working on a continuous entry system similar to the floor matchmaking system that we talked about earlier, and this is about creating an environment where the player is constantly engaged inside the dungeon. This will allow the player to escape immediately or immediately progress to deeper dungeons. We'll share more details in the future when we have a finalized look. We're also working on a random dungeon system that will shuffle the dungeon modules we've been modularizing for a while now. We hope this will improve the current game loop, which is currently too repetitive. I said earlier that I wasn't too interested in this, but as usual, I've been playing the game for a long time and have come to similar conclusions as you. We believe that there should be more variety inside the dungeons, and we will start with the system and expand upon it more and more. Question, why always only premium account have something good like Arena or 125 plus? Why can't we have donate value with hard quests or something? We're sorry, but we have to make a living too. Question, why is there no personal lobby where you can view damage on dummies, etc.? Why are there still no silver crafts for all weapons? Why are some classes deprived of the opportunity to carry popular silver weapons? I would like to support that in the future with an improved gathering hall or housing system. So unfortunately, I don't feel it's a good idea to do redundant work now that will be removed in the future. Question, is the socketing system coming soon? The socket system is currently in the works and will be released next season, and I want to help solve the problem of random modifiers taking too long to get bis. I'd like to use this question as an opportunity to explain why I'm so focused on item balance. For the record, I should say that I was the only one who was initially interested in bringing random modifiers to the game and keeping the gap between items large and widening it further, and that's what the alpha looked like as a result of that design. But now I've changed my mind and am focusing on the opposite direction. Random modifiers are a fun tool for players to create different builds for themselves, and for us, they're a great way to increase player playtime. However, random modifiers are like gambling, forcing players to invest a lot of time and making it harder for players with less playtime, the majority of players being mid to low level, to get best in-slot items. It also has a problem of making BIS items very expensive because the time it takes to get a good item is so long, which is also a strong incentive for RMT and cheaters. Because of this, players at the mid and low levels of the player pyramid quickly realize that this is a game that they can't compete in properly without investing countless hours, and then they leave. Of course, there are many reasons why players leave, but this is a big one. Therefore, I would like to reduce the time it takes to get a good item to a more acceptable level so that players of different levels have a more level playing field. However, this does not mean that I want to reduce it to 0, which would undermine the inherent fun of the game. Question, will fishing be added to the game? Fishing is definitely in the plans. Unfortunately, it's a little low priority, but I have plans to move it up a bit. Question, all the reasons why ruins were sent for revision are still in the game. We are aware of this issue and hope that continuous dungeon, the new feature described earlier, will address it. Question, do you think we can at least get a glimpse of a work-in-progress sorcerer this year? Answer, for sure. Question, will the game add the ability to enchant weapons or equipment? I'm a big fan of these features myself. However, I do have a concern that with the current structure of items being easily lost, too much investment in time can lead to a sense of loss and stress for players. However, I'm hopeful that the socket system will play a role in this. Question. I suggest the introduction of an additional arena stash to facilitate better organization of arena gear. Answer. We're currently working on bringing this functionality to Squire. Question. Is there by any chance bosses being worked on for trios, because most bosses, when 2 people are in the arena, flip out? I'm experiencing similar issues with party play, so I'd like to make some tweaks, but alas, it's not a main focus yet. I'll talk to the monster guy about it. Question. The community all believes you have a great game. Have you put any thought into adding more content instead of trying to tweak the numbers every few weeks? Any thought into making this to be more of a PvE game rather than just PvP spawn rushing? Maybe creating randomized modules? We've gotten quite a few requests like this, so we wanted to talk a little bit more about it. I understand that it's easy for a lot of people to think like this because when you look at the content of the hotfix, it's mostly balance changes. We're a 100-person company, but we only have about 60 actual game developers. This is because we have to juggle legal, PR, marketing, customer service, community management, anti-cheat support, and a lot of other things at the same time. And 97% of our developers are actually focused on content development. Unfortunately, new content takes time to develop, and we're still a growing company, so we spend our time training new members and building a solid pipeline for the team. I believe we'll get to a good point soon, and I'm expecting our productivity to increase significantly then. I don't want to believe the game will be PvE only game, but I do believe there must be a good balance between PvE and PvP. We haven't invested much in PvE yet, so we will try to make it better in the future. Question. So what do you think about the low online player in the game at the moment? Did you expect such an outcome, or is it a surprise? I'm not sure if this will help, but as always, I'll just give you the straight answer. When we first started looking for investors to fund this game, we were targeting 3,000 concurrent users. We have received more and more love from our players than we could have ever hoped for, and this has been an unbelievable time for us. We realize that the number of players is currently decreasing, and our goal is to get more players to love and play our game so that we can fulfill the promise to our players of a great game that will be around for a long time. Question. New maps, classes, gear, monsters, when? Soon? With a trademark symbol. Question. Can we please have custom arena maps that are more balanced for all classes? Also, an arena leaderboard, adjustment to points won and lost would be great. As for classes, we'll be making some major adjustments once we've rebalanced items. Before that happens, however, we're looking to tweak the current balance a bit more to ensure that different classes are able to compete in general. Question. Is there any plans to improve the new player experience? We have created a dungeon called Sewer, and it will probably be the first dedicated dungeon for new players. We haven't yet decided when and in what form we'll launch this, but we'll continue to focus on onboarding new players. Question. Do you have anything planned for making some not frequently used rooms and maps more attractive with like secrets or special loot? Something like a random room generation would also help the replayability. We're interested in making each dungeon module more engaging, and once the aforementioned randomized dungeons are more established, we'll probably focus on systems like those. Question. When are quivers coming out? This is basically a meme laughing emoji, and I want it too, but the person who should be working on it is currently focused on more important things, so it's being put on hold for a while. Whenever that developer has time, it will be a priority. Question. Are we going to get F cancel on drinking potions like we have with bandages? I sometimes want to drink a potion and cancel it, but our characters can't half drink and cancel it, so I decided to leave it as is. Question. Are there any plans to add Haktua, funniest meme of the year, to the game? I just looked up the meme because you told me, haha, very funny. I will think about it. Question. Has the team ever considered non-instanced housing, meaning a housing area that could place houses down and that would exist in an overworld like the outside of the new Gathering Hall Tavern in the social hub? I'm a big fan of Ultima Online, especially T2A, and this is my dream. However, I will try to find a way to make it work with this game. Question. Why not squish the gear gap even more? I think this is a good opportunity to share my thoughts on the gear gap. As I mentioned earlier, I initially had a direction towards pursuing large gear gaps because I think it gives players great satisfaction as one of the end game goals. And it actually exists in our game. Nothing has changed in that regard, but we found some problems while actually executing this vision. The excessive time consumption of random modifiers mentioned earlier, combined with the large gear gaps, made the game environment for mid to low level players unfavorable and made them lose hope in competing. Many people wanted to compete in a fair environment but didn't have much time to invest, so we created GBMM, gear-based matchmaking, to give them hope and split them up. This is similar to how we created solo and duo queues to allow players who have difficulty finding players to trio with to compete fairly. This is combined with many dungeon themes, anti-teaming, anti-sniping pools, etc. Created a lot of matchmaking pools that ended up splitting the player base too much. I believe that the most enjoyable point of this game comes from the unexpected situations that come from various situations within the dungeon, and for that, there must be many players with various goals inside the dungeon. I think this is one of the most important factors in the matching quality. Due to the issues mentioned above, we have experienced for a long time that the matchmaking quality is severely reduced in certain regions or during downtime when there are relatively few players, and we want to improve it. And as a start, we are trying to reduce the gear gap to reduce the number of gear-based matchmaking pools. However, I understand that there are various ways to stick to the original vision other than just reducing the gear gap, which is the direction that current high-level players dislike. Initially, we wanted to make it easier and faster for players to escape so they could achieve more success in the game even with the gear gap, and have hope to catch up to higher level players. However, this was not actually tested on the live server because the dungeon with fewer players became a dungeon that was not fun for anyone. Continuous dungeon will help players escape easily, and other players will fill the spots of our players who escaped, keeping player density inside the dungeon at a fluctuating level, and maybe if the system works as well as we expect, we can keep the gear gap a little wider. Question: will the sorcerer and wizard share certain spells, and can we look forward to new spells for the wizard in this season? The sorcerer will have his own spells. Based on the development so far, the sorcerer is probably going to be the class with the most spells, and no, I didn't forget about wizard. Ending notes from Iron Mace. In addition, there are a few things I would like to talk about. Regarding the test server, I apologize for not actively utilizing the test server and providing tough patches for players so far. We realized that it was difficult to get enough players on the test server. It was especially difficult to test features that require a lot of players there. If it is possible, while also satisfying the Hold the Line Edition players, we would like to host the test server on a major platform like Epic and Steam so that all players with legendary status can access it. We will think deeply about how to do that. Finally, this game is still new to us and not easy to develop. We don't have a blueprint, we are making it ourselves. And sometimes I forget that I am a chimpanzee, but you kindly remind me. My team and I will continue to cook hard for the happiness and satisfaction of our players. We make mistakes sometimes, but I believe that even that is a process that helps us grow. Thank you for your support. As always, we love you. P.S. I really like this. And then it's a cute little meme of SDF as a chimpanzee cooking up in the oven. So that is the Q&A. I was going to give a little bit of my opinion here at the end, but if I do, I'm just going to save that for another video because I want to make sure these Q&As are just an unbiased place for people to come and get the information directly. So once again, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and there's plenty more coming. So much love and peace.